When I woke up this morning, I thought, I haven't done a Makita update video for a while. It's now 9:15 at night and I'm finally getting started. So let's get into this.
It's a Makita update from tools and stuff. Another Makita update. Now you said that didn't I?
G'day guys, welcome to another Makita update. I can't remember when I did one, but it feels like it's been a long time. So I thought I'd better do one. Before we get into it though, I'd really appreciate a thumbs up, down there. I know it's annoying when people ask you to do this, but it makes a big difference. If you want to see these videos, if you want them to come up in your feed, if you want me to be able to keep making them, please hit the old like button down there and it'll help keep the channel chugging along. Pretty easy, eh? Doesn't cost anything. If you want to help the channel chug along even more, there's Patreon up there and down there, and anyone who's a Patreon member will have their names at the end, and I give away stuff every month over on Patreon. I'm about to give away a new 40-volt blower, so if you're interested in that, check that out down there and up there if you want to join that and be in to win each month. Plus you get to see these videos with extra content, bloopers, swearing, all that sort of stuff, and you get to see it about a week before everybody else usually, and no adverts. Anyway, enough of that advert. Let's get into the video. So 8 amp hour battery. Have you seen that there's a new 8 amp hour battery coming? A tabless 8 amp hour battery. It doesn't look like this. This is the standard 8 amp hour battery, the F battery. The new one will have a label on it that looks more like this. If this thing will focus, there we go. So it'll be a silver label, and I briefly showed it in the video that's up in the top corner up here of Field Days. It'll also be down in the description, and if I remember, I will pin it in the comment section as well if you haven't seen that. So very powerful new battery and very cool chainsaw that was being shown off with it as well. I hope to review that chainsaw in a couple of months time, September-ish, so keep your eyes peeled for that. Also along the line of batteries, people have been asking about the 2.5 tabless. It's going to come, it's going to happen, but I'm just going to change a setting on my camera here so that it stops going in and out of focus. So there we go. 2.5 will happen, but they're just waiting for the cells to be processed. There's not enough manufacturers yet making tabless 18650 cells to make a tabless 2.5 amp hour battery. And once those cells are commonplace, we'll also see some upgrades to the LXT batteries. These will all become tabless eventually. Until then though, before that, there'll be some non-tabless upgrades to these. If you haven't seen that video, that's up there as well, and down there it's another video. 9 amp hour batteries coming, 12 amp hour batteries coming. They're not tabless, just got more cells in them. So lots of new batteries coming, as well as lots of new batteries, lots of new nailers. Got a couple of the fairly recent ones here. The framing nailer, of course. Everything I talk about going to be up there, down there. Look for a link if you want to watch it. They'll be there somewhere. The 16 gauge straight. This is the 16 gauge angled. They're out now. The 18 gauge is not too far away. 15 gauge will be after that. And also after that, we're looking at a concrete nailer, a fencing nailer, coil roofing nailers. Is that everything? I'm not sure if they're doing like a connector bracket nailer, PPN nailer. I did the narrow crown stapler last week, I think it was. So there's heaps of nailers coming. Makita are finally going to have a full range, just like Milwaukee, just like Hikoki. So we won't have to wait too much longer. But I know the next question, we've done batteries, we've done nail guns. The next one, XGT Table Saw. No info on that as of yet, apart from, yeah, it's coming. I put a poll up a few days ago about the table saw, asking what size blade you would prefer. So if you haven't already voted on that, give a vote on that, because Makita definitely look at these things, and it's easy market research for them if we do it like this, and then we'll get what we want, right? Hopefully. So I think maybe we need to do that more actually. Anyway, go find that. I'll put a link to that maybe somewhere as well. Lots of people are concerned about changing to 40 volt. They've got 18 volt batteries. They don't want to have two systems. They don't want to have to carry around two chargers. Well, there is a dual charger on the way. By dual, I mean XGT on one side, LXT on the other side, even maybe I think a double one. So it's going to have two XGT, two LXT. So there's new chargers on the way. And it looks like they're doing Mac Track versions of the ones that were in the Mac packs that I did a few weeks back. So that'll be cool, because if there's a few tools you haven't sort of switched over to XGT yet or something, or you don't want to because you prefer the 18 volt impact driver and some of the lighter tools, then that's a great option, because you can just have the one charger, do both batteries, save the big batteries for like really beefy stuff like the 415mm saw or jackhammers, whatever, and then save the 18s for things like this, because I'm not sure, it doesn't look like all of these nailers are going to be made in XGT. The framing nailer will be, of course. The concrete nailers probably be XGT, fencing nailers, staplers maybe, but the ones that don't need the extra power, it doesn't look like they're going to do it. So I think maybe the 18 gauge, the narrow crown, the 16 gauge, maybe even the 15 gauge, probably just 18 volt. So don't get too angry about that, because like I say, just get the charger with the 2 ports on it, have a couple of those kicking around. Not a biggie, because you know, it's not really that different, because if you've got that, you've got different sizes of the 40 volt anyway. You can have 8 amp hours, 2.5 amp hours, whatever. What difference does it make if it's a different voltage really, if they all go on the same charger? Looking at another patent here, you can see an 80 volt version of a plate compactor and one of those rammers that people seem to like riding around on the internet. And if you look at this image here, you can see that the plate compactor tools are proper looking drawings. They're something that looks like they're developing, whereas the other ones are all just preliminary sketches of things that they could do. Generators and cultivators and all sorts of things there. What 80 volt tools do you reckon would be cool? I mean, a plate compactor, that's a fairly good no-brainer. Everybody's going to be doing those. Concrete screeder, I know a lot of people want an 80 volt table saw, but I don't think it's going to be 80 volt, more likely to be 40 volt. And also 80 volt chainsaw, I don't think that's happening anytime soon. And you don't really need it if you saw that one from the other day, you know. It was it was super powerful, and it left the DeWalt and the Milwaukee for dead. I know there were different logs and different wetnesses and stuff like that, but boy oh boy, that Makita was pretty impressive. 29 meters per second chain speed on full whack, 3 different speeds. Yeah, a bit more info on that video, like I said. Now some tools that are kind of already here. There is a pruner extension for the 12 volt and 18 volt pruners. So if you want to get a sort of extra meter, 1100, something like that. They don't seem to be telescoping, which is a little bit annoying, but can be very handy for trimming above your head or even down at your feet if you can't be bothered bending over to chop up other stuff you've already cut down. So that'll take the 12 volt that already has the battery on it, or the 18 volt that has the cord down to the battery that you have clipped on your belt. There's a few other tools that aren't too far away. There's an XGT gun, there's a grinder, there's a 40 volt rebar tire, which you've probably seen kicking about the place. I've shown it here in the patents before. That's now a thing. I might have to beep some of those words out there so you don't get too excited. But hopefully I'll have some of those things pretty soon to review here on the channel, along with the TD004G, which has been doing the rounds. I noticed lots of people have been talking about that. Now that is the next impact driver, quite different to the previous ones. Number 1 and number 2 was sort of the top end, high end, what you'd expect, flagship Makita impact drivers. Whereas the number 3 was sort of a step backwards to more of a budget version. Not much of a step back, but not quite as many features and not quite as powerful. Whereas the TD004 is power based. They're trying to take on the big boys, the likes of Milwaukee and DeWalt with the power. And so it looks like it's 230 Newton meters, which isn't massive if you compare it to the numbers that DeWalt give, but we'll see what it's like in reality. Basically, it's like the TW004G, the impact wrench, but they've swapped out the 1/2 inch square drive for a 1/4 inch hex drive, and yeah, basically just turn an impact wrench into an impact driver to give it a bit more whack. And with that, they've also taken some of the features off. This is just a brute tool, not feature packed, just for slamming things in. So it'll have the 4 speeds like pretty much all the good Makita impact drivers have. And it'll have a T mode, it's sort of a tech screw mode for driving in screws into thin metal without stripping everything out. But apart from that, there won't be all the other bolt release modes and stuff that some of the high-end impact drivers have. So it'll be interesting to see just how powerful that is and whether it can thrash Milwaukee and others. That one seems to have been leaked a little bit too early. It doesn't look like it's available anywhere quite yet. It's on a couple of websites, but I don't know if anyone's actually got one. But you'll see it here, no doubt, within the next couple of months. And judging by how many people have already messaged me about this, plenty of you already know about this one. This is the VC013G and the VC014G. They're compact dust extractors, vacuums, whatever. They do both, of course. Now, the 1.3 is an AWS model with a longer hose than the 1.4, and not only is the 1.4 shorter hose, it's not an AWS model. They have a 7.5 litre dust capacity or 4.5 litre water capacity. So handy little wet dry sort of vac that you can take on site to clean up little messes while you're doing your job. While we're on vacs, I've already mentioned this one before, the CL004G stick vac. It comes with a motorized head, this model, so it's something I think I will be reviewing soon because, yeah, I'd love to have one with a motorized head. That was announced a few months back, but it's just about out now. And for those of you who have asked about a bike handle power head, well, ask no more, it is out. They've made one for 18 volt and 40 volt. Strangely enough, no 18 times 2. But maybe it'll be out shortly, not too sure. So this works just like your standard power head. All the same attachments still fit, but instead of having the little D handle, you've got the bike handles, U handle, whatever you want to call it. So a bit easier for using on certain attachments such as weed eaters mostly, brush cutters, that sort of stuff. Not so good on a pole saw. The handle does swivel round so that it's easy to store or ship around in the back of your vehicle, hang up in your shed, and they should be coming to a store near you in the not too distant future. People keep telling me I yak and bang on too much, so that's the end of that. This is all the Patreons. Thank you guys. If you want to be one of these people and have your name there and go in the draw to win some cool prizes, you've got a pretty good chance of winning. Not that many people enter these things. As well as all the early access, no adverts, all that stuff down there, blah-de-blah. See ya.